Hey, I'm Jeff Reber with ERA Heaven or Realty. It's August of 2020 and very much a seller's market. So today we're going to talk about how can you get a deal done without just paying more money. So how do you improve your offer without simply raising the price? And so we had a meeting in our office the other day and we were sharing tips with each other on things that we've done in the past that have worked, that got a deal done with some sort of terms, but wasn't just simply paying more for the property with a buyer that we were helping. So the first thing that came to mind was being flexible with your timeline. So maybe you could close sooner, maybe you could close later if that's of benefit to the seller, and maybe you would allow the seller to stay in the house after closing. And while that may not be ideal, if it doesn't necessarily cost you more money and it gets the deal done, that's something that can work and really add value to an owner beyond just paying more money. The next was raising your earnest money amount. Sellers typically see this as a buyer being serious about the property, even though this is still the buyer's money. And if the buyer bails from the deal for a contractual reason, one of the contingencies trips, like an inspection or a financing contingency, doesn't play out the way that it should and the buyer can leave, they get the money back. But a seller always sees this as the buyer having more skin in the game and therefore being a better option, all other things considered. So that's the second. The third is shortening or even removing contingencies. So some of the contingencies that I just mentioned, inspection, financing, maybe you could take those down from our average inspection contingency is 10 days. Maybe you could move it to 7 or even 5. Maybe you're so comfortable with the property and its condition that you don't even need an inspection contingency. That may not be a good idea or a fit for every situation or even most situations, but it's something to consider, and that shows the seller that you are serious. The next thing is you got to move fast. I've had multiple deals where, of recent that is, buyer finds a property, it's a Thursday, we're going to see it on a Friday. Well, by Friday, there's 5 other offers, right? And so it's not to say that that was the right house for this buyer, but it is to say that if you want that deal done, you have to move very, very quickly in today's market. The next to last item is sharing your story. And I'm not a real sentimental guy. If you know me, you probably know that. But I'll tell you what, it does mean something to an owner, especially if they've lived in that home as their primary residence for an extended period of time, to know that the next group that's coming in is going to take care of it and be as attentive to it as they were while they lived there. So obviously don't make things up about your living situation and your family and your life. But if you have relevant details that you would like to share and that may be compelling to the owner in their situation, well, game on. Let's do that. Last, but certainly not least, is be fully approved. And here's what I mean by that. In August of 2020, again, we're still kind of quarantine, pandemic, COVID, all of those things going on, and it's created a mess for mortgage companies and banks as they are approving buyers to get loans. So go do the due diligence beforehand to the degree that you can. Supply your lender with all of your income, asset, and credit documentation so that when you make your offer to the seller, you can say, we are ready to close as soon as that appraisal is done. And that's probably a 2 to 3 week timeline, but there's nothing else that the seller has to worry about. All they need to know is if the house appraises, we can close. So that's my list, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I hope that's helpful. If it would be of benefit to you, gosh, I'd love to chat. Give me a call, 904-405-1995, jeff@era.com. Even if you have friends or family in other markets that are thinking about a move, I'm still happy to talk through ways that they can navigate this crazy real estate market and still find the right house, get the deal done, and get on with living. We'll talk soon.